Good morning, members of the Committee of Public Housing, Spatial Planning, Environment, and Infrastructure, members of Parliament present, support staff, radio listeners, TV viewers, those following via social media, and the members of the media. Welcome to this meeting of the Committee of Public Housing, Spatial Planning, Environment, and Infrastructure, Committee of CVROMI, committee meeting number 2 of today, Tuesday, November 18th, 2025. I would like to extend a special welcome to representatives of the Green Dream Projects Foundation. We have established a quorum of 4 factions. Please stand for a moment of silence. Thank you. I have received a notice of absence from the following committee members: MP Westcott Williams, MP Roseberg, and MP Otley. I've also received a notice of lateness from the following members: MP Lewis and MP Kutai. Are there any notifications from the members of Parliament at this time? I see no need. The agenda point for today is a presentation on the goals and ongoing project ideas of the Green Dream Projects Foundation, with the IS document 1289 of the year 2024-2025, dated August 2025. We go over to the agenda point. On August 6, 2025, Parliament received a formal letter from Mr. Claude Javois, President of the Green Dream Projects Foundation, with a request for a meeting with the Committee of CVROMI to discuss the aforementioned agenda point. In the letter, the Foundation expressed its commitment to sustainable development, environmental awareness, and innovative green initiatives that support the island's long-term well-being. They have requested this meeting to present their goals, share current project ideas, and explore areas where their work may align with national policy priorities. Hence today, this meeting. Before I give the floor to the representatives of the Foundation, I would like to propose the following approach to ensure a more open and efficient flow of discussion in a committee setting. After the initial presentation, each member may pose a couple of questions or provide comments, to which I will give the representatives the opportunity to respond directly. We will continue in this manner to see how the meeting moves and while taking the time into consideration. If there are no objections from the members on that approach, then I would like to proceed with giving the floor to the President of the Green Dream Projects Foundation, Mr. Claude Javois, for if you can introduce your representatives that are here with you, and for your introductory remarks and your presentation. Mr. Javois, you have the floor. Press the button. One on the right. There you go.
Good morning. My name is Claude Javois. I'm the president of the Green Dream Projects Foundation. I have with me several members that are as well as members of the foundation. I have Mr. on my right. I have Ms. Carrington on the left. I'm sorry. I have Daniela, called first name, my wife I.J. Javois, and 2 good friends of mine, Chris and Debbie. Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Javois. You can proceed with the presentation. Thank you.
Mr. Chairperson, honorable members of Parliament, honorable ministers, distinguished members of CVROMI Committee, distinguished guest members, members of media, and people of St. Martin, good morning. It is a profound honor here before this honorable House to present the vision, progress, and national significance of the Green Dream Project Foundation. My name is Claude Javois. I stand before you not merely as the president and founder of the Green Dream Projects, but as a leader who works daily, ground level, side by side with our youth. I collect recyclables with them, sort with them, transport with them, crush and weigh materials with them, fill sandbags with recyclables, and assist in loading and offloading. Leadership for me is not symbolic. It's a practical act and demonstrated through presence and service. The Green Dream Project Foundation exists because of the dedication, creativity, and strength of our students, and it is their commitment that brings me before you today. Before presenting the full scope of this initiative, I wish to share the academic foundation that prepared me for this work. I hold an Associate's of Applied Science in Biomedical Engineering Technology, a bachelor's degree in Allied Health Administration, and a master's degree in Environmental Waste Management. These fields collectively shaped my understanding of environmental systems, waste management practices, scientific processes, and the program development. These educational backgrounds allowed me to design effective STEM-based environmental programs, operational recycling systems, and structured youth-centered environmental initiatives that support both our school system and a wide community. Every model, method applied with the Green Dream projects today is rooted in academically sound environmental principles and practical waste management strategies. I extend my sincere appreciation to many individuals, institute ministries, and community partners whose support has strengthened the Green Dream Project Foundation from its earliest beginning to the national recognition it receives today. I wish to acknowledge members of Parliament, Egbert Doran, for meeting with me, receiving the Foundation's work, and encouraging this presentation before Parliament and the VROMI Committee. I further express appreciation to Honorable Minister Patrice Gomes of the Ministry of Public Housing, Spatial Planning, Environment and Infrastructure, Member of Parliament Darrell York, former Prime Minister Sylvia Jacobs, Ms. Satya of VROMI Cabinet, for the encouragement and participation in the Snack Back Recyclables Exchange event held at the Sister Borge Elementary School in May of 2025. I also extend gratitude to Honorable Minister Melissa Gomes of the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sports, along with Ms. Rosalina Martina, Mr. Marvio Cooks, and the Mercy's support staff for the involvement and presence during the Youth Recyclables Exchange Payback and Upcycling event held in September 2025 at the Mac Braulia F. Millard Primary School campus. I also wish to recognize those who were critical during the early years and formation of the Green Dream projects of June 2020, World Environmental Day. My gratitude extends to Mr. Claudius Moncampo, former rep of the VROMI Ministry, the Collectivity of St. Martin Environmental Division, EPIC, the Nature Foundation, and the school boards, of all whom provided guidance and participation during the development years of the foundation. I also wish Mr. Luciano Nichols, Senior, former recyclable bin transporter and waste hauler, who's committed to assisting with bins movement and handling, ensured the continuity of our work during the earlier phase of the initiative. My appreciation also extends to the Chief Staff of the current VROMI Minister and VROMI's Cabinet, who have provided continuous support and administrative assistance. And I express sincere appreciation to Mr. Maxime Arnal, Director of SXM Municipal Landfill in French Cul-de-Sac St. Martin, for his role in the environmental efforts of the Green Dream Project Foundation. His cooperation, technical insight, and openness to youth-centered education have contributed significantly to our program's continued development. I would also like to acknowledge the largest sponsors and supporters to date whose contributed have played a vital role to the success and explanation of the foundation. A special acknowledgement goes to Ms. Marcella Henry, Secretary General of St. Martin, whose remains our strongest and earliest supporters. I extend appreciation to the Bureau of Telecommunication and Post St. Martin and its staff for the ongoing assistance, as well as ATS audit team of St. Martin and its staff for the continuous professional support. I recognize Tropicana Shipping, whose logistics support is meaningful to our operations, and Heavenly Water, whose generosity and partnership has strengthened up. To all these major sponsors, I extend my deepest gratitude. Finally, and most important, I offer a big hands up and heart appreciation to the board members of the Green Dream Project Foundation, whose dedication, governance, and commitment make the continuation and expression of this movement possible. I further recognize the students, teachers, parents, coordinators, volunteers, and school committees who were part of these early glory days of the foundation. Their discipline, creativity, and resilience helped transform this initiative from an idea formed in a temporary classroom after Hurricane Irma into one of the most impactful youth-led environmental movements in the Caribbean region. The Green Dream Project's foundation emerged out of hardship and necessity. After catastrophe of the impact of Hurricane Irma in 2017, learning resumed at the MAC Comprehensive Secondary Education campus in a temporary classroom tent built by the Dutch military unit. In that tent, surrounded by destruction, uncertainty, and determination, the seeds of this initiative were planted. That environment defined the resilience, and rebirth became the birthplace of the Vision 25 schools through environmental education. On June the 5th, 2018, World Environmental Day, the Green Dream Projects Foundation was formally inaugurated, marking the start of a movement dedicated to strengthening youth leadership, environmental awareness, and community responsibility across St. Martin. And I'm going to brief right here and show you on the screen that what you see on the screen was the start of what we call the Green Dream Project's Green Teens and Green Teens. Followed by that, this is our original setup for the Green Dream Projects back in 2018, and we have representatives from EPIC, the French side, etc. So this is where we originally started. This was our setup we had with our bands. This particular recycling materials center was created by the MAC students and myself back in 2018. So that's where we started. We also had a setup table where the students would put all the recyclables, and that's how we separate all the recycled materials, and then we place them inside the bins as you see in the background. These representatives here were from the French side. The environmental department, they come to demonstrate and discuss how the recycling system works on the French side. This here is the mark of the more modern time with the Green Dream Project's Sustainable Waste Management Project, and our goals was green ambassadors, green schools, green businesses, green foundations, green communities, and green healthcare providers. This picture you see was a partnership with Heavenly Water, in which the students were able to collect recyclables, and we had them sent offshore for recycling processes. This picture you see here, it's a picture of some students over at the Sister Regina School as they are part of this program. We also see Sister Magna. Here we have Sister Borgia students with their parents. We have Sister Borgia again, as well as Sister Magna School on the right. This here is some upcycling projects that was created by the St. Joseph Schools as part of this upcycling project that we had recently back in September. Here is an area where we store our recyclables before any type of transport, so we store them in containers. And as you see, we do have sandbags which we store. The students are involved in community service. They help with the separations and also the storage and also for the transporting of these recyclables. So I will continue on to my section 6. The Green Dream Projects aligns directly with the priorities of the government of St. Martin and support several sustainable goals that are vital to our island's future. These include SDG 4, quality education, which promotes environmental literacy and STEM development. SDG 11, sustainable cities and communities, which encourages responsible waste practices. SDG 12, responsible consumption and production, which fosters proper waste separation and resource recovery. SDG 13, climate action, which equips youth to migrate environmental impacts. Our foundation is the first and only structured environmental education and recycling network within the school system implementing standardized color-coded waste streams, yellow for plastics and blue for aluminum cans, with glass planned for future expansions once glass to sand recycling systems are introduced. May I introduce the schools that are part of the network of our school system, the Green Dream Projects. Mac Brawler, Mac John A. Gums, Mac Comprehensive Secondary School, Sister Magna, Sister Borgia, Sister Regina, Sister Mary Lawrence Primary School, Sister Joseph School, St. Dominic Primary School, St. Dominic High School, Charles CBA, Hillside Christian School, Stephen, Hillside Christian School, St. Peter's, Orange School, Illinois Corner Primary School, Dr. Martin Luther King Primary School, Geneva Weaver Primary School, St. Martinville Vocational Training School, Milton Peters College, Seventh-day Adventist School Primary School, Sundial Secondary School, Sundial School, I should say, St. Martin Academy Vocational Business Campus, St. Martin Academy Campus, and Tiny Toys Collage Foundation, and the MAC Stimulation. So these accounts for 25 schools that are part of the Green Dream Project's network of schools. The greatest strength of the Green Dream Project Foundation lies in its students. They are the operational core of our system. Students conduct source segregation in classrooms, participate in campus recycling competitions, and take part in community collection and storage efforts. They operate small-scale environmental machinery, perform weighing and data recording, identify contamination, and help coordinate logistical tasks traditionally reserved for adults. Their reliability, discipline, and enthusiasm have made this movement effective, respected, and sustainable. I work along them daily, not above them, because youth learn best when they see leadership in action, not from a distance. The environment represents the future environmental workforce of St. Martin. One of our most groundbreaking accomplishments is the establishment of the first Youth Recyclable Exchange Payback Center and upcycling event in St. Martin, and the first of its kind in the Caribbean region. The historic initiative brought together 18 schools from both primary and secondary level, creating one of the most significant youth-led environmental collaboration our island has ever seen. What distinguishes this event is that the entire operation was fully managed by students, not adults. They work at intake station, sorted materials, crushed plastics and aluminum cans, weighed recyclables, completed documentation, checked contamination, issued vouchers, and guided the public through the system. During the September 2025 event, students processed over 10,000 recyclables items, and the MAC Braulio Millard campus earned $100 plus in incentive for this recyclables exchange. This event provides beyond question that the youth of St. Martin can manage large-scale environmental operations with professionalism, organization, and pride. And to show you, which I'm going to skip through some here, this particular event is actually a recycling event that occurred at the Sister Borgia School. What you see here is the vouchers. So once the students exchange the recyclables, they get vouchers, and in turn, they're able to get discounts on their cafeteria meals. That was the purpose of it. Here you would see the students are doing the registration of these recyclables. Here you can see Mr. Darrell York and the Honorable Minister Patrice Gunn was at this event. And as you see, there are students that are collaborating together with this exchange process. Here we see is another picture where the students are giving off, we had about 9 stations giving off vouchers. And this picture, as you see, and I love this picture, is because it shows a student. I mean, I would say the student maybe like 10 years old, maybe less than that, having in her hand these recyclables and to exchange it for some type of voucher, and it's very important. As I move forward, we also reward students. The student with standing at the left to where I'm sitting, she got a voucher of $50 voucher for a discount at, I can't remember, it's electronics store. So this was the first winner. She bought 800 recyclables in for exchange, and then we had the second winner and the third winner. And as you see her to the right, she's holding the incentive in her hand for the certificate for discount, and they always reward in metals. Moving along, we have here students here from the MacBFM campus, Hillside, the DeWeaver School. We have here the school, and Cahill, which is the sister, yes. As we move along, we have here the Regina School, etc. We have the Sister Magna. We have here the students collecting recyclables over at the BFM campus. We collect the caps. So the lady that you see standing here is the coordinator of the MAC school at the BFM campus. At the right, you see the students are there collecting aluminum cans. And as you see myself, I'm a workaholic. I'm involved with them in setting up the recycling bins, collecting the recyclables, etc. So I'm not just the president. I'm involved at the ground level with these students as well. So I show them by example that I am a president, yes, but I'm going to work with them. This particular event was the Youth Recycling Exchange Payback Center, and this was at the BFM campus. As you see, the minister, Honorable Minister Melissa Gons was there. These students you see sitting at the table is the registration. There's no adults there. All these students, I show them how to create and work with these registration forms, and that's what they are doing, and they're very good at it. Here you see the student at the top left operating a portable can crusher, and she was doing the demonstration of how it works to the minister. Here you see at the bottom, students are placing some recyclables into the bin. We don't normally deal with single-use plastics. We stay away from that. As you see to the top right, we have a student from the CBA that's actually involved in the weighing of the recyclables. And at the bottom, as you see, this particular machine, we have it actually can compost organics in a matter of 4 hours. So you don't have to put it in the ground and do all these things. This machine does the job. Moving forward, we do have here on the wall a hand manual can and bottles crusher, which the students were trained to use and crush the plastics as well as the cans. This gentleman, I think, on the right is from the Seventh Adventist School, and the other ones is for the MAC school system. As you see to the right, these are the bags of recyclables for exchange, and with all the registration persons that are sitting to the forefront. Here is also a student of the St. Martin Academy guiding along a student from the Seventh Adventist School in how to properly fill out the form. And as you see, we have all the paperwork there, so the students, they did everything, no adults involved. Here we have a teacher that is very excited herself about this whole system, and as you see, she's there with the automated can crusher. And you see to the right, there's a student that's involved in that as well. Here you see Tiny Tots from the collage is also part of the Green Dream Project's network. So the kids have recycling bins, and they are taught how to segregate these recyclables at this school at this age. As you see to the right, the same group of students are registering their recyclables at the event which we just had passed in September. So we have a lot of people involved. This is a Environmental Dreamers magazine I'm working on that's going to have all to do with different types of events involved in the school system, and it's going to be available sometime next year. So I've been working on that. So to continue with my message, beyond recycling, students are engaged in creativity and STEM-focused upcycling programs that transform waste into functional and educational products. They have produced baskets woven entirely from plastic bottles, caps, as well as a rock backpack demonstrated systems built from recyclable plastic bottles for classroom science activities. These projects combine engineering, art, and environmental responsibility. At the MAC campuses, the Environmental Club will take an active role in painting and preparing recycling barrels for campuses' use, while also leading fun and innovative upcycling initiative that further promotes sustainability. These activities help students understand that waste is not merely discarded. It can become a resource of innovation, engineering, and recovery. The foundation stores significant quantities of recyclable materials collected by students across the island. These materials include plastic bottles, plastic bottle caps, aluminum cans, and glass bottles organized for education, upcycling, and future recycling programs. To date, the foundation has accumulated over 8,000 pounds of recyclables through school-based initiatives alone, making it one of the most successful youth-driven recovery programs in the Caribbean. This volume reflects discipline, teamwork, consistent engagement from both students and teachers across the network. The EcoCard incentive program encouraging students to take leadership roles in environmental stewardship. Students can earn eco points for collecting recyclables, sorting materials, assisting during events, participating in environmental services, activities, supporting school-wide environmental efforts. These eco points can be redeemed for cafeteria discounts, school store purchases, uniform incentive, and future tuition-related benefits. The EcoCard system promotes responsibility, consistency, and reward-based environmental engagement. It has helped reinforce a culture of environmental responsibility, demonstrating that positive environmental actions can produce meaningful benefits. The Green Tree Project Foundation is continuing to expand its environmental education and waste management program. Future initiatives include establishing school-based composting systems, introducing glass-to-sand recycling machinery, expanding the handling of paper and cardboard, and preparing the educational framework for future e-waste handling and disposal. These expansions represent long-term planning and infrastructure development, continuing to be a more robust national waste management system. The foundation is also envisioning development of a national curbside collection system to serve businesses, households, and communities island-wide. This system will support sorted household streams of plastic, aluminum, cardboard, and general waste, with future expansions to include glass and e-waste categories. To support this system, the foundation proposes hosting weekly workshops for families, schools, and businesses on proper waste segregation, contamination prevention, and responsible disposal. Such efforts will strengthen environmental responsibility throughout the population and support a most efficient national waste management system. To secure the long-term future of environmental education on St. Martin, the Green Dream Project is seeking the sponsorship or donation or collaboration with government of land space to establish a national environmental educational hub. The foundation is seeking approximately 2,500 square meters of land in the Phillipsburg-upon Island area, which will serve as the ideal location for a modern, youth-centered environmental education and innovative facility. This hub will serve schools, businesses, communities, and the general public. It will feature a national environmental training center, a waste processing demonstration zone, an upcycling and innovation lab, a workshop and conventional hall, a business environmental support unit, a community recycling drop-off center, a national environmental monitoring and reporting center, and a youth environmental career development program. Once established, the hub will function as the central engineer of environmental education, innovation, youth leadership, and national capacity building, helping to advance sustainability, awareness, and environmental responsibility throughout St. Martin for generations to come. Mr. Chairman, honorable members of Parliament, and esteemed members of CVROMI Committee, since our inauguration in June the 5th of 2018, World Environmental Day, the Green Dream Project Foundation has remained committed to one clear mission: to educate, to empower, and equip the next generation of environmental leaders. With your support and partnership, St. Martin can become a regional leader in environmental responsibility, sustainability, youth empowerment, and innovative waste management practices. I remain deeply committed to the students of this island, to our schools, to our communities, and to the environmental future of St. Martin. It is my hope that together we will build a cleaner, smarter, and stronger nation for our youth and for future generations. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Person. Thank you, honorable members of Parliament. Thank you to the CVROMI Committee, and thank you to the people of St. Martin. That concludes. Any questions?
Thank you, Mrs. Javad, for that very inspiring, I would say, presentation. It was very refreshing to see that, so many schools are already involved. I look at the members of Parliament to see, no, just a quick notice. I failed to mention in my introductory remarks that I also received a notice of absence from MP Duran and now MP Lewis. Yes, coming back to the members of Parliament, to which member can I give the floor for any questions or comments? And remember, members, that we are doing an interactive session. MP Veronica Janssen-Webster, you have the floor.
Good morning, and thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning to the Chairman, to the Secretary General, my colleague MPs, and welcome and good morning to Mr. Javois and his board of the Green Dream team. I would like to, first of all, congratulate you all on what you have taken up. This is something that St. Martin needed, and what I can tell you, having worked on the whole waste management project dating back 2009, one of the things that we identified back then was recycling and how to introduce it into St. Martin. And I always looked at how it was done in the Netherlands. In the Netherlands, they went from zero recycling to 95% in the space of, I think it was 10 years, and they did it exactly the same way how you are going about now, where you're going to the youth. Because it's the same way why the supermarkets sell candy on the low surface right there by the cash register. Once you get the children, they will tell their parents. And what you did, I think, a little bit extra that I really admire is that you are developing administrative skills in the youth already. So when they leave from your program, they have some kind of like a work experience. They understand administration. That's really remarkable, and I want to commend you on that. My question is, how are you looking at getting more schools involved, especially more of the secondary schools? How? And also, how do you plan? I saw that you mentioned you want to do the lectures, but if you can tell us concretely how you plan to get more households involved now. And I was thinking on the community councils, because the same way like how you offer rewards for the children, you can offer rewards for community councils, the community that brings in the most gets something, something like that. So I don't know what your plans are, but really a great project. And I'm hoping that, because you did mention that you met with Minister Gomes, and I know that he is doing recycling. So I'm hoping that you get that good cooperation from him, because you are doing a big part of the job that they have to do. Thank you.
Thank you, MP Johnson Webster. I now look at Mr. Javois to see if he would want to answer the MP. Mr. Javois, you have the word.
Well, good question. The way I set up the project is that I send a proposal to the schools, and I give them the choice of whether or not they want to be part of the Green Dream projects. This initiative, and you're right, it's important that we start with the youth, because once the youth learn it, they can go home to the parents. Once the parents knows it, they can go to the businesses. Once the business knows it, they can expand and they can create their own system. I have a lot of different companies here in St. Martin that would love to be part of this whole process, but you're dealing with the youth first. It's a little harder to deal with the community, but you have to have the system in place and set up such a way where it works with the community. But as I stated, what we're doing in the education system can be transferable over to a business as well as the home. For example, if I have 4 green recycling bins at my house, I would say, okay, you know what? Let me color code. You don't have to buy a recycling bin. Just put some colors on them. Say, okay, I have an orange and I have a blue, I have a green, and so. And then you just practice your own separation, your organics one, etc. I mean, it's very. Where I am today, I would say personally, in sponsorship itself, from 7 years, I've only been working maybe like $5,000 or so. That's with me. And I've gotten along with, because I've done these little programs with the school to get the students involved. And I'm a student person. I was a student at the St. Martin Academy back when it was the FVPT student. And I went to the States and got my education. I've always loved to work with students, because I know that they're going to listen and they're going to follow instructions, especially if the teacher say, do it this way or else, they're going to do it. So, yes, in fact, I would like to work with the community. I would like to work with businesses, etc. But, there's certain things you have to have in place in order for you to get to that particular area. And that's why I mentioned, if we have the educational hub set up, that can be one way you can get the communities to come involved. They can see the layout of the system. They can see the different machines are all involved in this whole process. And I think this is what we need on the island, and I think that's the way we need to go. You cannot get any place without education. It doesn't matter whether you're 5 years old or you're 100 years old. If you don't know how to drink water, you just don't know how to drink it. And if the students do not go to school, they're not going to know anything. So that's why we go to school and get further education to get where we are. So I would say education is the primary item that needs to be brought forward. That way people would understand the yeas and nays. People cannot know how to segregate something if they don't understand how it works. That's just the way it is.
Thank you, Mr. Javois. I look back at MP Janssen Webster because I do believe you had a specific question on how the foundation plans to involve more schools. Okay, so just checking if the question was answered. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, MP, for your questions, and Mr. Javois for the answer. I now look at MP Dow York for your comments. MP, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Once again, good afternoon to yourself. Good afternoon to Mr. Java and his team. Thank you for coming and giving us the insightful presentation, and good afternoon to colleagues and the viewing public. start off by saying and addressing the entire team. What you guys do is very commendable. I mean, Mr. Java and I have had a couple conversations, and he knows exactly how I think and what I think of the Green Dream movement. When watching looking at the presentation, one would think, as Mr. Java was going down the line of accomplishments and things that the foundation is actively doing and have actively done, that he has a team of 20 to 30 people. So I would like Mr. Java, as my first question, to enlighten the viewing public as well. How big is your day-to-day team that are actually going outside and engaging with the students, etc. One thing that I noticed, and I also experienced at the Sister Borgia event, was the engagement of the primary schools students, how engaging and excited they were to take part, and how they were really interested in the whole process. My question would be, how has the reception been in the secondary schools? Right, because I remember Sundial, so I saw Sundial on the list. So I was wondering, with the older age group, is the reception the same? What's the reception as it pertains to that? Also, the discussions, there was basically, I would say, a small wish list at the end of, things that would help take the foundation to the next level. And I think you mentioned that you have been speaking to some ministers as it pertains to that. Without divulging what has been said in the conversations, are the conversations going well? And is it only with the ministries of ECYS and VROMI, or have you ventured outside of that as well? Think on Ministry of Justice, Ministry of TEAT. So basically, have you ventured out of those two ministries? Because the recycling movement touches a lot of sectors more than what meets the eye. So have you ventured outside of that? And that would be it for now. Thank you.
Thank you, MP York, for your questions and comments. I now look over to Mrs. Javois for your answers. And just to take note, we can also give the word to one of your representatives if they would also want to assist you in answering. Just a note. Mrs. Javois, you have the floor. Am I seeing correctly that Mr. Watley would want the floor? Okay, then just press the mic. To the one. No? I'll adjourn the meeting for 2 minutes to get the batteries rolling. Meeting adjourned for 2 minutes. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. After a brief 2-minute adjournment, I now give the floor to Mr. Marco Watley for the answers to MP York's questions. Mr. Watley, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To answer the question, the team that we have is anywhere between, at times, 2 to 5 persons, depending on who are available. Traditionally, it's usually myself, Mr. Javois, and his wife. Outside of that, there's just the persons that are available to assist in terms of the students that will come and help out and help us move around the recyclables. We also have CGC that helps us with the storage. So they too are a part of the program. And again, whatever workers are available to assist, they too will then help us. So we don't really have that much of a huge team, but we are all passionate about the environment and making a change, especially when it comes to recycling. The reception in the schools, especially in the primary schools, it's a bit mixed. I think the more you educate the students, the better the process is for them. In the beginning stages, it was a little difficult with some of the schools. Others were very easy. For example, in the beginning, vocational, they jump right on board, and we rarely have any issues with contamination. And then you have other schools that are a little more, you would have to go, multiple times to try and get them to basically follow the rules in terms of separation at the schools. Visiting the ministries or the ministries that we've spoken to, yes, indeed, the only ministries that we have been in contact with directly are those 2 ministries mentioned, VROMI and Education. However, we're open to have a conversation with any of the other ministries that are willing, and ministers and members of parliament that are willing to sit and listen or participate in the events that we have upcoming. The requirements or the stuff that we need at this point in time are very, very, very expensive. The program is very time-consuming, and we need a very large space in order for us to store the amount of recyclables, especially if we're adding cardboard and the glass. These all need to be separated and housed in places that are either safe or not going to be able to get wet, because once cardboard gets wet, it's no longer considered a recyclable. It would have to go to the trash, and that's what we're trying to avoid. So we need a very large space. Mr. Javois mentioned the amount in his presentation, and I think that's it for all the questions that you had. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Watley, for the answers to the questions. MP York, I look at you to see if I get a thumbs up. Thank you, MP York. I now go to the next MP on the list, and now we have MP Christopher Waver with some questions and remarks. MP, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning to Griffier, my honorable colleagues, Mr. Javar, and the Green Dream team. It's an honor to have you here this morning as well. Some of you I've spoken to in the past as well. I think one key thing is consistency, right? We've seen a few projects like these start in the past, and I think there's also where we get the doubting from some of the schools as well, because I know there were in the past some garbage companies that also initiated it as well, and then because of whatever reason, whether it being not as feasible as they thought or whatever, it died down. So I'm happy to see the pictures actually and how big it is and throughout the schools. And also what you're doing is one-on-one involvement with the students. I think that is definitely important. In the past as well, there have been some initiatives with government, with, for instance, Coca-Cola, where we had a recycling campaign as well. If you, I don't think the bins are there no more, but they used to have the bins on the Pondfield. They had a bin by McDonald's there in Belvedere, where you see Coca-Cola and then you see the government logo as well. That's a collaboration we had. And of course, it had to expand from there. But unfortunately, it died down. Change of government happens. And then the question is where, because you say you need a large space, right, to gather, because you need a certain amount before you ship it off to wherever it is, to be able to actually make a profit, to be able to then return it back into what you're doing. Where are we shipping it to? Is there an agreement already with a certain company or a country where we say that's where we're going to head to? And also, how feasible is it? Because when we look at consistency, of course, it needs to be feasible and it needs to make sense, right? Because at the end of the day, you have a team, but without some funding, you can only do so much, right? And there's only so many volunteers to go around, but you have to have a business plan as well where you can afford to pay persons to be able to do it and to do it the right way as well. And my last comment would be, don't limit your selection of where you would want to be to just Phillipsburg or Pondfield. I mean, we are very limited on land where as we are. So just say wherever there's availability that can support what we are trying to do, that's what we are looking for. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, MP Weaver, for your questions and remarks. I now look at Mr. Javois for the answers to the questions. Ms. Javois, you have the floor.
I totally agree with you. One of the things that we're trying to do with this project is looking at the educational part first. As I mentioned before, you need to have the educational part going, and that's why I asked about having the support and the provision and the opportunity to create this hub, because our plans in this hub would entail different types of things that would bring students, communities to see in actually how this whole process works. I mean, anybody could take a can and throw it in the garbage, but what happens to it after is the question, is there proof of product? You know, that's the question that pops up. And again, I know there's cost, there's expense, but then there's always a way, a start to everything. And I agree with you, you know, location can be any place available. And for us as a Green Dream Project, we would like to have this land space available so we can progress the way we would like to progress. We would like to have students come on outside, take a look at these facilities, see how the whole process works. It's one thing to learn theory, but it's a good thing to understand the technological part and the vocational part. And I've always said a long time ago that the best engineers are the ones who knows the theory and also the technical part of it. We live in a world that's actually technical oriented. You could have all the theory of the world, but if you don't know how to drink water or operate a machine, it makes no sense to operate it the wrong way. So we're just looking on having the equipment we need as well as the space available to us so we can progress in the way we would like to progress as a foundation. So I came here today for that reason, is to ask the support of Parliament, the ministers, it doesn't matter. You know, we talk about ministers in different locations, but, you know, whatever happens on this island affects all of us. Whether it's Hurricane Irma, everybody knows what happened in Jamaica, so it doesn't matter whether you're rich or poor, you're down to the ground or not, it affects all of us the same way. Whether the garbage is a mountain high or low, it affects us the same. Whether it's air pollution, water pollution, it affects all of us the same way. So that's what I'm saying, that we just want to get the support, to get what we need to do with the students, with our communities. And once we have the educational part unpacked, then people cannot say they did not know or they had no idea. So I think we need to focus on education, I think that for us personally, as a foundation, we would like to see this facility develop because it becomes an education institution. And when you have tourists come to the island, they can visit this particular institution to see how this whole operation works. Even the tourists themselves, a lot of these tourists that come to our, they live in countries where recycling is top of the line, and they want to come, and they would contribute and help out with things that's going on our island. But then, we have to have a system. It has to be set up a certain way and run a certain way in order for things to work.
Thank you, Mr. Javois. I see that Mr. Watley also would like to have some additional answers to the question. Mr. Watley, I give you the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the question. How feasible is it? At this point, we've received some funding from UNESCO, and they were the ones that are and have been consistently assisting us with the operations. The schools also participate in helping with the funds. It's not a lot, but again, we're dedicated to making sure that this program works, hence the consistency from since when we've met and until now. Also, a part of the feasibility is also in the location. If and when we do come online, moving the recyclables from one place to another, especially if we're shipping it off of the island, every time you have to ship one, it would become more costly depending on the distance from the port, for example, and how receptive the community is to go into a specific location. If we go, for example, in KB, the cost of moving a container over the hill becomes a little more pricey. So when we use the town as an illustration, we're only using it as a place that is most feasible for the organization, foundation, to be able to operate with as minimal cost as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Watley. I get a thumbs up from MP Weaver. I now look at the next MP on the list, and I see we have MP La Cruz for some comments. MP, you have the floor.
A blessed morning, Mr. Chairman, Rifir, Mr. Javois, and the full team, my colleagues, and anyone else listening. Mr. Chairman, through you to Mr. Javois, we had a nice conversation once on the phone, and I applaud the work that is being done by yourself and the team. I do have an addition, and I do understand that your focus is the school and the kids, but I've always believed that the longer we take to take it out of the classrooms into the homes and our dump, by the time our kids in elementary reach 12, 13 years, it is almost impossible for them to continue. And I say this why. Coming back from the Netherlands with my kids, and I told in our conversation, I mentioned it to Mr. Javois, my son at the time found it crazy that we only had one garbage bin at home, because in the Netherlands, you were used to recycling your garbage. And he didn't understand, and I had to explain him at that time that even if we would separate it here at home, it still goes on the dump where it's thrown all together. So I've always seen the plan as a three-phase plan that needed or needs to be attacked at the same time from the beginning. Now, once you have your kids that are starting to ask those questions, the parents will feel guilty. But most can't afford to put different bins in their homes. So that is something that I believe should come from government. That aspect should be just like the front side, garbage bins outside, but also that even if it's small donations, that they say, hey, we're giving you 3 bins that you could put at home, because a lot of people can't afford it, and then it becomes difficult. So that is something that I've always thought What would a plan like that look like? You know, if you have something like that, that you would say, okay, I could come back and present a plan like that to Parliament, and we say, this is what it would cost, and we do it in stages, then you're sitting before Parliament who approves a budget. So then we could turn around and say, okay, government, unless we see these things in your budget, you will not get our approval. That is things that we can do. For example, changes in legislation, fines for mixing garbages. You know, these are the things that, you know, this body could actually help the process move forward. I truly believe we are going in the wrong direction as a country. When I take a look at Sabre, I owned a company that sold tours and did timeshare. And I would tell everyone St. Martin is the hub. But if you take a flight to Sabre to Statia, St. Kitts, and I would bet them, if you would go to Sabre and find one piece of garbage on the ground, I'll pay your trip. Not being there, I could say that proudly and upfront. I'm not from Sabre, but that's the feeling I got from Sabre. And this is why I believe now as this is not only the responsibility of VROMI or the Minister of Education, but TIAT should be highly involved in your project. When tourists come to St. Martin, they want to see a clean country. They don't want to see garbage. And there's enough money to be spent, and some of that could go into projects like this. So, Mr. Javois, if there's a plan, I would definitely love to see it. And I know my other colleagues also. And numbers and figures for specific projects, that would definitely help when it comes to budget and budget allocation from our standpoint. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, MP La Cruz. I now look to Mr. Javois to see if you have any remarks on what the MP just said. Mr. Javois, you have the floor.
Yes. Thank you very much for your comments. Indeed, we can, based on what I have set up with my project currently, that is areas that we can go. And as I mentioned before, that we have been dealing mostly with the students at the youth age, and then our plan was to come on the outside. Again, in order to come on the outside, you know, we need to have certain things that would need to be set in place. For example, I can take a container, for example, I could place in a neighborhood, I could put different sections of it to collect as a curbside to collect recyclables. Then what we do with them after, you know, that becomes another story. How are we going to get them offshore? How are we going to what are we going to do with them? So it always comes down to the ending product or proof of product. And in order to get to that proof of product, you have to have the necessary facilities available in order to get to that stage.
Thank you, Mr. Javois. I get a thumbs up from MP La Cruz. I now go over to the next speaker on the list. I see we have MP Ardel Arian. MP, you have the floor.
Good afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon, Kafir. Good afternoon to my colleagues. Good afternoon to the DREAM team. Congrats again. I was listening on and viewing on my way here, and I smiled and when I saw Mr. Watley, because in 2018 I was also part of a foundation at that time. It's called the Green Box Foundation, and we were actually the first entity to be in the Catholic schools, at least, that started a similar program like this. So the pains that you're feeling also, I could definitely relate. And I guess I'll also ask some questions in regards to the areas that we weren't able to, let's say, do sufficiently. One, what we did, we create, because of finances also, so we created bins out of pallets. So we use recycled bins. And what we realized after a while was the maintenance of the bin. So yes, we would create all of this, a bit of a personal team, just similar to you guys. Everybody had their own jobs, so we just did this out of the love for St. Martin and wanted to educate. Our goal at that time was that if we start with the youth, at least the future generations will be educated. So we decided to start from the bottom up. And we also purchased bins. We put them in the schools. It was green, yellow, blue, and they started off really well. But then when you come to recycling, that's one of my questions I'm going to ask you, actually. So, and I heard you give an answer, but not very direct. We learned a lot during this process. One of the issues with recycling since, I believe, 2017 was China stopped accepting a lot of recyclables from other countries. So typically, most recyclables would be shipped to China, and China would just burn it, basically. So they stopped doing that to meet their environmental requirements. So which country, or is China back open up now to accept recyclables? Which country would you be shipping these recyclables to? And then we learned also, because we tried to make a sustainable business model out of it. And then we realized how much more work it is, because every plastic is not the same plastic. There's only certain plastics can actually be recycled. Some gets burned, some gets buried. So the process of now recycling became trifold. So you have to recycle plastic, but then in the plastic, you have to recycle again. And that led us to actually collaborating with Meadowlands. So they became our official partner at that time. And actually, out of that partnership is why Meadowlands today has their recycling division. It was born out of the Green Box project that we started. So are you guys going to, is a team going to collaborate with any of these existing garbage companies in terms of efficiency, in terms of load, picking up garbage, recycling, in terms of separation, even the cost, the different quality, so clean recyclables, so if you wash it first, right, if you clean it, it's worth more in the market than not clean. Having them separated by color, even, it costs more time up front, but in the end is more valuable. So is this all things that the team is considering, or is it going to be just bulk waste to the entity? And that was also an issue we had at the schools, that it started out really well, and we go check every week, we'll check. But then you had one student just throw a hot dog into the pile, and another one throws another food. So then all the recyclables were dirty. So it became a lot of work to clean on the end, and you had pests and rats, etc. So the project for 7 of us that became a lot, and that's why we had to end up teaming up with a recycling company. In terms of land, and I mean, we have a former VROMI employee that worked in the domain affairs, and now we have the whole DDAM case, the DDAM arrest in terms of getting land. So has the Ministry of VROMI clearly communicated with you or to you the possibilities of getting land or not getting land? Because I don't believe it's possible now for the government to just say, hey, we're going to give you this land for this project. And if they did, so actually I want to know if they did that. Because then it would then, with that kind of honesty, it would allow you to now maybe pivot into another plan in terms of space. Because at the moment, as it is right now, you're not going to get land from the government in the next year, maybe 2 years. Because there's no defined land policy, and then when there is, there's going to be a list of another 6,000 people that already applied. They have to go through a whole process, etc. So, is there another plan that maybe you could pivot into an area that a private piece of land, maybe government wants to support and leasing, etc. But has that been clearly communicated to you in terms of land space? And I realize a lot of foundations or entities will come here and they will say, no, we want support from members of parliament and government. But typically they're not very clear what the support is. And I know it can be a little maybe uncomfortable in terms of not saying, but I think you need to be clear in what support you're looking for. I know one is the land, that's for sure. But is there financial components that you're looking for? So is there, what from Parliament, what are you looking for from Parliament for us to, let's say, as was mentioned before, create an avenue in the budget to have support for not only this entity, but the other entities also that are in this field? So what kind of support are you exactly looking for from Parliament? One, you said the land, but that's the government. You can question it, but I know already the land issue, the land policy, the DDMRS wouldn't allow that. Two, is it financial support? Then we have to look at the budget, and we have to get feedback from the Ministry of ROMI if they are willing to support this entity and maybe other entities. And when it comes to the educational part, what is the feedback from the schools in terms of, is it based on a special curriculum, or is it a special recycling program from the US that is certified? I know that gives maybe some credibility to the schools that say, hey, once you do this, you could put this certification, a certified recycling school, that also makes them feel a little bit more proud in terms of this curriculum. Do you have that in your program also? I think programs like these, and again, because we've also been through the fire, they are necessary, but as was mentioned before, they do require a lot of support, in addition to support, a lot of collaboration. Is there any other entities maybe that you guys are collaborating with to cut down on costs, cut down on time? Because what we also have a lot to say, Martin, is 5 or 10, not saying in this case, but 5 or 10 foundations doing the same thing, all seeking support, and there's only so much businesses that can give financial support, and there's only so much financial support the government can give. So we actually come together and maybe say, hey, let's just unite in our efforts, because it's not about my personal views, it's about a bigger impact and the bigger goal, that we want this done on the island for the future. So is there any other entities that you're collaborating with in terms of getting the end goal done? And also, have you gone to SMDF for any kind of funding? There's also now the funds from the Netherlands. I don't know the SS something. SSD1 is a very weird name. I believe they also, or they were at least allowing private entities to also tap into funds. I know they were planning to downsize it, but is that also something that you guys have looked into? I also see the 4C Foundation. Has there been any discussions with them to tap into any kind of funds? Because at the end of the day, as you mentioned before, a project like this, without the proper financing, especially in the beginning, to get it up and running, is going to be difficult. And I think, for one, financing will be key and important. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Björn, for those questions and remarks. I now look at the panel to see who would want to go first in answering Björn. I see Mr. Javois. Mr. Javois, you have the floor.
Yes, indeed. We have had, for example, we have the caps which we collect from our schools, and we do give them to the Perpetuate Plastic Project, EPIC, which is located in the Cold Bay area. And yes, indeed, I know we can have collaborations with other companies, like, for example, Meadowlands. I know that they do have balers, trail units, and they do store things there. But in fact, this whole process of plastics, yes, if we're going to get anything successful, we do need to have a collaborated group, whether it's schools, businesses, different companies that are involved. Indeed, I think everybody have different things to offer as part of this whole process. We just happen to be dealing mostly with the educational part. That's where we started in the beginning, and we have not gone out more to the business or the community sectors yet, because we looked at the fact that we don't have the resources to get to that point as yet. So we have mostly stick, and we add schools as we go along. So the latest school that have joined our network was Oranje School. So they're new to this whole process. We do not have the entire school bodies as yet. It's just I do get them involved. Once I send a proposal to them, ask them if they want to be part of the team. So my stress is to stress mostly the educational part first, and then if we're going to go to the business committee as well as the committees, then you do need to stress the education. You have to have the education first before you can have anything as success. Whether if it's a garbage company, all of them need some type of education to understand how the process works. It doesn't matter whether they're picking up garbage. It doesn't matter whether they're working at a landfill. It doesn't matter whether they're working in a materials recovery facility. All of them need to have some type of education and understand how the whole process works. So my whole thing about it, I'm familiar with the project with the Catholic schools back then. I know about the crates because I saw them over at the St. Dominic High School. And being someone that comes from the environmental field, in studying that area, I realized that having the proper bins was better for sanitary reasons because they have covers on them, and then you actually, for our bands, we have placed holes in the side of the den to allow the smaller students in order for them to put the recyclables inside those bins. Of course, all the other cleanings and other sub processes comes with it, but what we do not have here in Ireland is a materials recovery facility, and I don't think we do have it on the French side as well. So even though you collect the materials here from the schools, businesses, if you don't have a way to clean them, which recyclable process is a clean process, then really you can't really recycle. So you need to have a recovery facility, even if you collect them, in order to be able to do all those other processes you need, the cleaning, the washings, the separations, the automated systems you would need in order for you to get to the baling ports and for the transports and for all the logistics. You have to have the in-between guy, which is the material recovery facility. If you don't have that, you can't do nothing really, because you just can't take something dirty and just say, okay, recycle it. It doesn't work that way. It has to go through a process, and the process it goes through is going through a materials recovery facility. And even here in St. Martin, if you have a materials recovery facility, you still have to send them offshore because we do not have companies on the island to process those into new products. So the in-between is a materials recovery facility. When it comes to the school businesses, you got to have that working unless you decide, okay, I'm just going to collect them, send them offshore. But even so, you can't. You pretty much have to have them built in order for them to get where they need to go and be processed.
Thank you, Mr. Jafar. I now look at Mr. Watley. You have the floor.
All right. Thank you so much for the question. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think one of the questions was if we are collaborating with any countries at this point or any entities to send off the recyclables. At this point, we're a small foundation, so the answer to that would be no. Is it a possibility? Yes. In our research, we've contacted several neighboring countries that already have recycling as a part of their program. We can use Jamaica as an example. We can use Trinidad as an example. They all have a recovery system, sorting system, and a payback system for the community. These things are already in existence. So it's not something that is not possible for St. Martin. Are we willing to collaborate with any existing entities? Like Mr. Javois mentioned, we're already in collaboration with EPIC. We have collaboration with other entities. There's the one that does the plastic cleanup for the beach. They contacted us where they did the cleanups, and then we were able to collect the plastics from them. Nature Foundation as well. And also companies that are waste management companies. After we've had several conversations with them, is something that needs to be feasible for them. They're not going to do it out of the goodness of their heart, and if they do, it's only so much they can afford to do. So I think we had a conversation with CVROMI about land space and what was their response to that. Similar response to yours. The availability is just not there at this point in time. However, they have been supporting our projects by visiting us with information whenever we do ask for it. Long term, from what I understood, there's from the last meeting that we had, I think it was in August at the Bel Air Community Center, August or September, There will be some funds and a location on the dump allocated to that at some point in time. However, indeed, you did mention this would not be within the near future. And yes, we are looking into other means of being able to house these recyclables, especially when it comes to glass. Like Mr. Javois mentioned, there's the Glass to Sand project that we're planning on starting as soon as we're able to get funds to allocate the machinery. This reduces the glass by 90%. So you're basically talking about from a full glass bottle to basically dust. And these are things that help reduction in landfills. What was the next question? Feedback from schools. The schools are loving the project, especially the kids. Yes, sometimes you'll have extremes. Again, that's where the love of it comes in. You see in some of the pictures, they have gloves, they have masks. We'll separate those that can be separated, and of course, those that cannot be separated would then have to go to the landfill. We try as much as possible to educate the kids, the children, so that they can remember to do their part in recycling. They're also cleaned and sterilized by the support staff. So these are the things that we've implemented to try and meet the issues when it comes to dirty or unclean streams of the plastics and aluminums. I don't know if I missed anything. I think that was it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Watley. And I see Mr. Java would like the floor. Ms. Java?
Yes, to add to what Mr. Wati had mentioned, in our schools, I forgot to mention that we do have coordinators. Every school has coordinators, at least one or two coordinators, and they are in communications with the students. So, for example, if they need pickups of any kind, they contact us. So that's the way. So, and the students themselves are ambassadors. Also, I've also access to schools to create their own initiative within this. Although we have general initiative, the schools have that right to create the initiative within the schools, whether it's something related to games, whether it's something to relate to field trips, that's their decision. But we do have green ambassadors, and we do have coordinators in the school to coordinate all the efforts that we're making and communications with the schools. That's normally the way it's done. So that's why we're able to be in the area we are, and at this stage, is because we have good communications between schools.
Thank you, Ms. Javois. I also had some brief comments, not questions, but to touch base on the whole issue with the land and PROMI, et cetera. Indeed, right now we have the DDAM issue in which, the Ministry of PROMI cannot issue land in long lease without personally justifying it. When it comes down to recycling, I think it's a little bit different because a long lease, in my opinion, is not 100% necessary in order for you guys to have the facility that you would want to do. A rental agreement is also an option, so there are options, I think, to explore. Indeed, a conversation with the Ministry of PROMI is key, but and like you guys said, the area of the dump, it's kind of central, it's kind of hub-like because besides the recyclables that you guys bring, the dump also has their own activities going on, and when it comes down to shipping, the more you can ship, the less it costs. So in that regard, I do commend you guys for seeking the attention from the ministries. But indeed, like Mpila Cruz said, when it comes down to us being a small island, as St. Martin, a hub in the Caribbean, the Ministry of TEAT would also get involved, would also have to get involved. The Ministry of VSA, when it comes to the health aspect of things, would also have to get involved. I see that the Ministry of ECYS is doing a great job with you guys, and I do agree with what you have been saying today because you've been repeating it like a broken record. Education is key. Education is where it starts, and I think education, when it comes down to recycling, results in self-accountability. And that's what it's about. It's about us being aware that if we throw a piece of glass or a piece of plastic on the ground, what that means for the next 100 to 200 years. So I do commend you guys for this initiative. I look at the members of Parliament. I do not see that we have any further comments or questions. I would like to thank the Green Dream Projects Machine. I kind of put that in my head while you guys were speaking. And of course, I see Ms. Codringson's very green dress. But we have to go green. And I think that you guys are doing a great job for the island. Keep doing what you're doing, especially with the schools, because the pictures today, that was very enlightening, to say the least, and I would want to see more. And I would like to also be, invited to some of these events, and we will definitely go. And maybe we can get some. I look at my MPs to see if we can get some of our private partners to also get more involved. And yeah, I look at Mr. Javad to see if we have any last remarks before we close off the meeting. You have the floor.
I would like to say thank you to the committee as well as the Parliament, members of Parliament. One thing I want to is that in 2018, we started with one school, the MAC CSC, one school. And then we added the MAC BFN and the MAC JAC school. That is 2018. Today is 2025. We have 25 schools. And you have to ask yourself, in many countries, how do you get that? How did I get that far? How do we get that far? It's because it's interest. Wants to see things done environmentally on our island. And as you mentioned, I'm repeating it, yes, education is important. But I just want to illustrate that we started with one school and we to 25, and that's the easy road to get.
With a small team.
Yes, yes. Especially when the mindsets of primary and secondary students.
Very commendable. Thank you, Mr. Javois, again, and your team for representing the Green Dream Projects Foundation today. Thank all of you for your presence and providing us with all of these enlightening, I would say, and very necessary information. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of this meeting. I would like to thank you all on both sides for your participation, and I hereby close this meeting.